The Writer's Dossier podcast is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network.
This is Jeffrey James Higgins, and this is my second Writer's Dossier.
This is Justin Price, and this is my narrator's dossier.
No writers were harmed in the production of this podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Writer's Dossier. We've got a special episode. I know I say that every time, but look, just look. We've got Justin Price and Jeffrey James Higgins on the show. Guys, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's great to be here with both of you. And I'm meeting Justin for the first time, so that's super exciting.
Same. Very excited to be here.
I love that. This is a first for I don't know. Come on, podcasters, get out there. Show me what you got. We're putting together writer with narrator. This is so cool. So Jeffrey James Higgins has already done a dossier. Go back and take a look at his dossier. We did the Havana Syndrome, I don't know, Jeff, a couple months ago, and it was fantastic. We talked a lot of great stuff. But today we have you on to talk about your new book that's coming out, and Justin Price, who's a fantastic narrator and also a narrator in MYOPIC Duplicity. He read Terrence McCauley's story, The Welcome Wagon. So, Justin, thanks for doing that, man.
Yeah, it was a great story. I had a lot of fun with it. So for sure, thanks for having me a part of it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that Chris at Leonardo Audio got together with you, because as a former cop, I'm listening to the story and I edited it too, so I know what was ahead. But when you get to stop and listen to you tell the story, one, it's so much easier for me because I can just sit in the car or somewhere and listen to you tell this glorious story in a wonderful way. Congratulations. And again, thank you for being part of MYOPIC Duplicity. Jeff Higgins. So you wrote what that Justin has narrated so far?
That's a great question. So it's the Nathan Burke International Thriller Series. The first book was The Havana Syndrome that came out in June. And then book 2, The Corazon Retribution, came out in September. And I believe, Justin, you're doing the last 2. Is that correct?
The China Gambit, I just wrapped a little bit ago. In fact, I got pickups back on that. So that should be coming along soon. And then, I have the 4th one slated for sometime next year.
That's great. The China Gambit comes out first week of December, I believe December 2nd. And then the Uganda Protocol comes out. It's supposed to be right around the end of March.
Nice. Fantastic.
So this is really cool because you guys have never met. Jeff, you said that at the very beginning, but how has it been? Because for you, Jeff, you write these stories and they're fantastic. These Nathan Burke, he's a dude. And then you put all this time and energy into it and you hand it off. And you don't know, you've never met this guy, you barely talk to each other, and then you get the audio. What's that like to sit back and wonder what Justin's like? I wonder, all this kind of stuff. What's it like for you as a writer, putting your stuff in someone else's hands and saying, man, I hope it comes out good?
It's similar to when I'm looking at one of my own books when it gets published, because I write a lot of books, and when one comes out, I for some reason I always have this cringe moment, when I first open it up and look at the first page. I don't know which writer hasn't found a typo or a craft mistake at the beginning of a book. It just drives you crazy. But I had never met Justin before, so I had no idea. I actually when I heard his name, I did go and look at some of his work. So I knew he did good work.
Cyber-stalked him.
Yeah, I did. I listened to a couple of the beginnings of a few books, and he was great. So I really felt I was happy. It's a lot like when you have a book, if something's adapted for the movies, right? All my writer friends who've had that done, and I'm hoping, they always say once you cash a check and then it's a different medium, let people do their thing. And I really believe that. I believe in letting editors do their work. I believe in letting narrators do their work, cover designers, letting them do their work. They're experts. I'm not an expert in any of that, and I have so much respect for Justin, what you do. It is incredibly hard. I know a lot of authors, especially who are indie published, and are oh, I'm going to narrate my own book, and I'm have you tried? Have you actually tried? Because you have to be a performer, but it's way harder than that, and there's a lot of technicality to it, And so I just, for anyone who's actually tried, sit down and record yourself on your phone doing a 5-minute passage and see how many hours that takes you. It's insane.
Justin, how did you get into that? Because Jeff makes a really good point about the difference between, people like us trying to read our own work and just the chasm there is in many instances. Like Eli Craner narrated his own forward from MYOPIC Duplicity, and I thought it was amazing. But for you, what have you put into being on the other side, the kind of narrator that Jeff and I would want narrating our book? How did you get to that point where, you know, the writers typically are that good, but you're fantastic? How did you get to that point?
Thank you. So I started thinking, because I play video games in my free time, which I don't have much of. But when I do, I like to play them. And I've always thought, you know, I could do this. I could do these video games. Started like researching it, looking into it, discovered, holy crap, I don't know that I can do these just yet. I need a lot of coaching, a lot of training. But I have taken, since I started in 2001, I got my first book. I had gotten some small voice stuff, but I got my first book in 2021. And from there, I have taken traditional theater classes, audio specific classes, animation, and like commercial classes, stuff for audiobooks itself. I've coached with so many audiobook coaches, which was kind of like a paralysis analysis situation. It was like, I got to coach more. But the truth of it is, the more you do this, the better you become, because you start to understand the pausing and the space that's needed and how a story is actually told. It's been a journey, and I'm still learning a lot. Just with, you know, I'm still taking classes. I still coach. When I just had an audition that I really wanted to get, so I contacted one of my coaches, and I was like, help me, help me get this one. I don't know yet, but yeah, I mean, I'm still doing the work. And speaking of Chris, he was actually one of my very first coaches, and I stayed with him for a lot, which he does personal coaching, but he also does workouts every week, and he does all these things that I have, or he does workshops too that I have taken. I've done all his things, but it's just kind of like, it's understanding that this is somebody that exists, and they're in a spot where they're telling a story to a person. Generally, you know, usually it's, you pick a person who you would tell this odd story to, that would want to hear it, and you just talk to them. And it took me all this time to kind of like figure that out. So now I'm here. Yeah.
You're here. How did you get there when you decided to do it? And then you're like, now I got to get a booth or equipment. Did you try to like set something up, put blankets around, or did you go all in with what, like people who are watching on YouTube right now can see Justin looks like he's in this dark room and he's in his booth, and the microphone is right there. How did you, was it gradual? How do you know what equipment to buy? Because there are a lot of people out there who do actually want to try this and maybe get their feet wet and maybe then be the next generation of narrators. What can you hand down to them as far as what you went through to get to where you are now?
Yeah, certainly. So I started in a closet. It wasn't even a walk-in closet. I had some ropes hanging to kind of like drape the, you get producers moving blankets, or producer sound blankets that I tried to like drape on this side. Graciously, my wife offered up her walk-in closet for a time. So I was in a walk-in closet. I built this PVC structure that I hung the blankets from. I was moving up in the world, getting better. Then I'm like, all right, well, I got to get my wife back into her closet. As nice as she is, I don't think she's going to be that nice for that long. So I did some research, Facebook mostly. A guy I had coached with had built his own booth, did a ton of research, and just one day was like, all right, I'm doing this. And then I just put up 4 walls, a floor, a roof, all sort. I put 3 layers of drywall on each wall and up on the roof, I think, or maybe just 2 layers up there. And then some of this padding and stuff just to kind of keep the reverberations of my voice off of the walls and that kind of stuff. And the equipment itself was just so there's one site called Narrator's Roadmap. Aaron Commons runs that. And it's probably the best resource for an up-and-coming narrator to kind of get a grasp of what all they're going to need. And beyond that, it's also like articles talking about how you might pronounce military words, or like like .44 is not .44; it's a .44 caliber gun. You can get a lot of that stuff is there as a resource. And then Jeffrey Higgins, you had mentioned the 5 minutes. Sean Pratt, who's an excellent coach and narrator in his own right, he has a whole little video series about doing exactly that. Sitting in a closet and just taking, I think it was an hour, try to get an hour's worth of a book, and just see. And after you're done with that, do you really want to be a narrator, or is this maybe not for you? Yeah, a lot of resources, a lot of just Googling, and a lot of trial and error. I had an interface that was not great. It wasn't the best interface ever. And I've been fighting with some rumble in my booth, just like, ambient noises out there in the world that come through the ground. And so I've dealt with this thing. I've had this since I started the interface. And I'm like, all right, I got a new computer and it was having some driver problems. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make the plunge and get this nicer interface. And realized that if I had just bought that interface that I wanted to buy like so many times, it was like, no, I don't need it. I have this one. That I would have solved like 5 of my problems right then and there, just like that.
When you say Justin, when you say interface, what are you talking about?
So there is there's a microphone. It's an XLR microphone. Condenser microphone is the type that you would use for an audiobook, because a dynamic, which is like the ones that you typically sing into or like podcast into, those are not quite as subtle enough for like audiobook, which has a lot of dynamics up and down, and it's hard to like get all of that volume change with a dynamic. So a condenser microphone, but that's an XLR microphone. So that plug goes into the interface, which then interfaces with the computer. Then you plug that into the computer itself. And so that's doing the actual processing of sound into digital for the computer to record. Yeah.
So there you go, folks. You got a lot of stuff to look into. We're going to put the narrator's roadmap in the show notes here. I pulled up the website after you mentioned it. Like I said, I got people asking me about narration all the time. So that's really good information, Justin. And I love the coolest thing. I love that you built it yourself and you started in a walk-in closet. That's fantastic. My God.
As a thriller author, the only thing I can think of is like, what does Justin have in common with most serial killers? He's built his own soundproof room inside his house.
Dexter Price.
Don't mess with me.
Jeff, let's talk about the cortisone. That is such, you've got the greatest titles. The Havana Syndrome was fantastic. The Cortisone Retribution. You've got talk first. Tell us about the Cortisone Retribution. What you got going on with that? What is Nathan Burke up to now? And then Justin, I want you to talk about Nathan Burke after Jeff talks about his book. So what you got going on here, Jeff?
So it's a series. The character, he grows over the books, but this one, it's they stumble on a big drug deal right at the beginning, and he has to try to figure out why all these opioids are coming into a mosque in Northern Virginia, and what the connection is there. And it's really a revenge tale, though, and it deals with a Foreign Service national who was left overseas in Afghanistan, which is something I actually dealt with a lot. I had 60 some of them. The guys who worked with us that were abandoned that I had to try to push out.
We've had this conversation offline together.
Yeah, only got a few of them out. So it deals with some of those themes. But then each of the books is like a separate thing, right? So each book, while there's themes that go through, like book 3 deals with some of the stuff from previous books, and so characters will kind of reemerge or themes will reemerge. And book 3 they're chasing this guy, the leopard, who'd shown up in book 1. And so you see a little of that. So there's continuity, but each one's very different. So they all work as standalones. And by the way, let me just say, like the Nathan Burke, Justin, you do a great voice with that. But when you listening to Justin, like you just hear that actor's voice, right? It's like the perfect diction, right? There's no ums and uhs and all the rights and all the things I'm saying. It's just you can tell that's real voice training. And then when he's doing these books, you can hear all the accents and the different voices. So like when you're listening, you don't need all the, I mean, honestly, I could have done a different version of this for audiobook, where you could cut the, he said, or Nathan, whatever, because you have the voices. So it really is different in some ways. We did such a good job with that. And what's interesting, it's not just doing the voice, it's doing it consistently throughout a book. I don't know how you do that. Like, I mean, that is such a high level skill. And I've had narrators in the past who, I had a book I listened to, I won't call the guy out, but I listened to it. He mispronounced the name of my protagonist. And I mean, like, seriously. And he added a syllable into it. So like the rhythm of all the sentences with this guy's last name are off, like, so I listened to the beginning. I was like, oh no, so you never know what you're going to get. And there's a spectrum of, of talent and everything, but these are really professionally done, really well done.
Justin, I've heard people in the writer's dossier, when I interview narrators like I did with you and on your page, that's one of the questions I always ask, like, what did you screw up? Like, what was one thing that you did wrong? And a lot of times it is, oh man, I mispronounced the name. And so I love the idea here that you guys are getting together, and you maybe can email back and forth now if you have a question or you want to emphasize something. But Justin, with Nathan Burke, and having, how many of these books of Jeffrey James Higgins have you done?
3 so far.
Yeah. So Nathan Burke, from the beginning to what you just finished for Jeff, how have you seen that character grow, or how have you seen that character change? Every time you get a new book, you're like, I know this guy. Was it easier the first time or the third time because of your familiarity?
Definitely the third time. As you go with any series, it just gets a little bit easier. You get more comfortable with the voices. Even starting a new book, as you go through that book, you just get a little bit stronger, and you start to understand the characters a little bit more, and that voice gets stronger. So definitely by the third one, I kind of like felt Nathan. He definitely grows. I love his arc of, I love, first of all, he's a badass. I love his undercutting ways. Yeah. He has no taste for bureaucracy, which is lovely.
Yes.
But over time, I think he starts to understand, especially with his first partner, how maybe sometimes the bureaucracy is necessary, or at least when it comes to interacting with the people in his life. And I'll tell you, Reagan, in this past book, the China Gambit, Reagan turned out to be one of my favorite characters, because her arc, it's such a lovely little arc that goes through the whole, side plot, and it really like spoke to me a lot, to the point that I like right at the end, I kind of got a little misty eyed.
Good.
It was a beautiful thing to experience in a book, when you're reading a book and you have to stop because you can't necessarily let the emotion get into the, you sometimes you can use that emotion, but you don't want it to affect the way the words sound, and you don't want to affect the ability to hear it, because people don't have anything that they're reading along with. They have no subtitles, which I can't watch TV now without subtitles, so I understand. But yeah, so you have to, it's a beautiful thing to get to a point in a book where you just like have to stop. Sometimes it's laughter, which is fun. I had this one book that I had to like stop and just leave the booth because I couldn't stop laughing. But then sometimes it's just breaking down and really feeling that. And I think that is when you like really connect with a book even more. Those are kind of the books that like stick with me still, that I still think about to this day, and now China Gambit is up there.
That is
I
so
love
cool.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you like to hear as an author, when characters stick with people. What's interesting, like, because your question, Jeff, is like about arc, right? But in a series, especially if you don't know how many books are in the series, you have to have a much shallower protagonist arc. But you can do steeper arcs with other characters, which is like my 3 books before this series were all standalone, so they all had dramatic arcs. because that was it, and for this one, you just don't know. Is it going to go 4 books? Is it going to go more? You look at somebody like Lee Child, who just has the ultimate success in a series, right? And just written like 57 books or something. It's like you can only do so much of an arc before it becomes ridiculous. So you have to make change, but you have to be careful on how much you change, or you have to change different things as you go. But then these secondary characters you can really play with.
Yeah. Jeff, when you sit down and you're going to write book 5 or book 6 or the next one, do you ever have to go back a little bit and think, where was I with him? It's like I know all, I've done 3 drafts of my books. I've got 3, and I'm like, wait, where was that? And I understand having a Bible, that you do all your chronology with, and who's doing what. But do you ever need to do that? Like, where were we headed before you jump into that next book?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I work, 100 hours a week, and I was churning out a book every 6 months, and I'm still doing it. I'm working on a different trilogy right now.
Yeah.
And I forget, I literally forget.
Right.
So there's this great software. It's a notebooklm. It's free. And I think it's a Microsoft program, and you can just upload your manuscripts into it and then say, give me a Bible, and it does it in 10 seconds, and it breaks down all the characters, and then you can query question, like, what was the character arc, what was the flaw, what happened here, and it'll just tell you, and it'll give you like which book and what page and chapter, and it'll quote it for you, and it does it in like seconds. So it's so helpful. Like if I had to go back and like dig through 4 books to find the next thing, it'd be really hard.
Wow.
So that is like, I would never use AI for writing. It's actually terrible for that. But I also believe it's a creative process that I wouldn't ever want to infringe on. But I use it for like that, like research all the time.
Yeah, at organization. Justin, the same question to you, because you'll read a book and months will go by, and then Jeff will knock out another one. And with voices, do you go back and re-listen to how you did Nathan Burke or Reagan or anybody to make sure that it's the same person on the next book? Do you have to do that?
Yeah. So when I'm recording, I capture every new character, and I go a little above and beyond sometimes, and get like even just like the waiter. If I feel like that waiter might come back, because they're going to go to the same restaurant, or if I know, because I have prepped the book. I've read through the book before I start recording, but I'll get that waiter just to make sure that waiter, who has like 3 lines, has the same voice, because, you don't want, there's no magic. This guy isn't going to sound completely different next time they go. But yeah, every new character that I come across, if they're important enough or will be back, I capture their voice in a separate file. So then I have that file to refer back to when it comes time to pick up on the second book. Yeah, it's necessary. I couldn't do it, and I have to do it even on the book that I'm working on. I'll bounce back and forth if I haven't heard that voice in a little while, just to capture again who they are and what they are
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah. Folks out there, if you're looking for an audiobook narrator, be sure to look up Justin Price. It's justinpricevo.com, right? That's your website?
Yeah. Audio. I have a separate audio one, but you can get to it, or audiobooks one. You can get to it from there, but it's justinpriceaudiobooks.com.
Okay. And jeffreyjameshiggins.com. Jeff, what do we have coming out next, and when?
So the China Gambit that Justin was just talking about comes out December 2nd. So I'm excited about that one. And then the Uganda Protocol book 4, I have a bit of a finish on some of the arcs on that one. So that might be it. I'm not sure. We'll see how long the series is going to keep going. And I'm working on a new trilogy right now that I'm really excited about as well. But yeah, this has been a fun series. And just listening to you, Justin, it is so hard what you're doing. When I have these, I interview authors we have a podcast, and I interview authors all the time in our Elaine's Literary Salon. And they're when they walk out, I'm going to just go do this. I mean, the work that it takes and the decades of experience that it takes to raise this craft, to be able to do the things you're doing, it's really, really impressive. And it's so hard. So if you're going to try to do this as an author, you better really dedicate some time to it.
And Justin, you want to really bring this home here to wind things out. We're going to need something good from you. I mean, Higgins is right. I mean, you're spot on. You were great in the anthology, and you're great, period. Everybody just really, all they really want from Justin Price right now is your best Matthew McConaughey.
How did you know?
So what would Price say about Nathan Burke? What would, if he came up against Nathan Burke on True Detective, And he's like, oh, all right, Nathan Burke,
There's
huh?
something about him that is just, he's smart. He's the smartest damn FBI agent I ever come across. All right.
Oh, I love it, man. Thanks for playing along. That was good, Jeff. That was
really
good. Oh my god, man. All right. Yeah, wow, guys, you're so awesome. I'm so glad to see this little sandwich together with this goofy me in the middle. Guys, stay in touch with each other. I would love to see more of your work together. And Justin, well, China Gambit coming out December 2nd. Can't wait for that. Justin, what work do you have that you worked on that's coming out next that people might be able to look up?
I have a lot of, so I also do romance as a pseudonym. And I've been working heavily in that field at this moment. So if you were looking for someone named Brian Stone and it sounded a lot like me, you might come across a couple of books coming out. In fact, I've got like 17 ready for pre-order right now, which is the most I've ever seen, but it's just because they put them like really far out. It's not because I have that many, but yeah, my next Justin Price book is, I think Nathan is China Gambit.
There you go, China Gambit.
Awesome.
I'm so excited for December 2nd. Jeff, congratulations on a banger. I know it's going to be great. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I listen to a ton of audiobooks. I'm in the car a lot. Justin, I can't wait to hear your voice again on that. So, guys, thanks so much for joining the Writer's Dossier, a podcast here from the Writer's Dossier Speakeasy. Jeff Higgins has Elaine's writer's studio there. I can't wait to be there someday. Hopefully, the three of us can all get together and have a drink at Elaine's. Jeff, that would be great of you to host. So
you have the invitation. We'd love to have you anytime. Elaine'sLiterarySalon.com. You come on in. We'll do it live. It'll be a lot of fun.
There you go, folks. I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in the show notes, everyone's contact information, and some of the stuff like the Notebook LM you'll be able to find in the narrator's roadmap from Justin's. Guys, thanks again so much for joining us. So good to see you again. Take care. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really great.
Bye, everybody.
The Dossier Podcast is a production of The Idea Academy.